Good morning, everybody. I think we are ready to start. So, Francis, are we ready from your side? Can I request Harriet if you can mute? Harriet Nakasi, if you can mute. Harriet, are you able to mute? Can I confirm Francis and Gwendolyn, are we ready?
You're ready.
Okay. Let's inform those whose mics are on to mute so that you don't get some noise. Francis, you can mute Harriet Nakasi. Let me take this opportunity to welcome you, ladies and gentlemen, to the Uganda Water and Environment Week 2026 webinar series. This is our first webinar, and we'll be introducing you to the Uganda Water and Environment Week. We're expecting the Minister of Water and Environment to be here and the Permanent Secretary to open, but they are not yet here. But I suggest that for purposes of saving time, we move forward. I'm called Dr. Kalisti Ndimugaya. I'm a Commissioner for Water Resources Planning and Regulation in the Ministry of Water and Environment, and I want to welcome you to this webinar. I hope that you'll be able to enjoy the webinar and also be able to be informed about the Uganda Water and Environment Week. The Uganda Water and Environment Week has been running for 8 years now. We are going to the 9th one. And today we would want to inform those who have not been a part of Uganda Water and Environment Week on how the Uganda Water and Environment Week runs and how you can contribute. But also we want to get those who have been a part of the Uganda Water and Environment Week to know how you can actually participate more actively. And we'll be unpacking the overall theme of the Uganda Water and Environment Week so that we can know why it was selected and what it means. We shall also be taking you through the different sub-themes so that you can know how you can contribute. But for today, we are going to be focusing on the overall theme of the Uganda Water and Environment Week, which is Water and Environment for an Inclusive and Prosperous Uganda. And when the Minister of Permanent Secretary come in, Francis, keep watching, you let us know so that they can deliver their remarks. But we would want to continue, and I would like to request that we have the first introductory presentation by the coordinator of the Water Resources Institute, Madam Gwendolyn Choburunyi. So Gwendolyn, take the floor and take us through that background presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kalist. As I'm waiting, maybe Francis, you can share the presentation so that I can take people through a bit of the background and where we are coming from and what we've achieved or realized since the inception of the Uganda Water and Environment Week in 2018. Share, let me wait for my PowerPoint presentation to be shared.
Okay. Otherwise, we want to request those of you attending this meeting if you can put your contacts in the chat so that we're able to know who is attending, but also to be able to reach out to you, especially those that have not been a part of our event. So when you are ready, Francis upload the presentation and Gwendolyn will proceed. Otherwise, we shall have later on a few minutes for questions, for comments before we end. And this session is for 1 hour, so we want to be effective in utilizing this time. So Francis, help us through the presentation so that Gwendolyn can move forward. Thank you. So Gwendolyn, over to you.
Sorry about
Gwendolyn,
that. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I've unmuted myself. Thank you, Chair. I will be taking you through the brief background of the Uganda Water and Environment Week and giving also a brief about what's going to happen in the 1.5 months from now. And also brief impact of what has happened since the inception of the Uganda Water and Environment Week. As earlier introduced, I'm Gwendolyn Chobulungi. I'm the coordinator, Water Resources Institute, and Water and Environment Week. I'm from the Secretariat Subcommittee. Next. Now, next. The next slide. Yeah, the Uganda Water and Environment Week is organized annually, and it is organized by the Ministry of Water and Environment through the Water Resources Institute. That's why the Institute is always the secretariat for the Uganda Water and Environment Week. Since its inception, it has evolved and become a flagship program for advocacy, influencing, information sharing, and learning in our water and environment space. So far, since its inception from 2018, that was way back in March 2018, we have had 8 Uganda Water and Environment Weeks. And this one, we are going to have the 9th, as the moderator talked about. These ones are always held under overall theme. So before we hold Uganda Water and Environment Week, we look at what is happening around, what is happening in the water and environment space, even beyond the water and environment space, for instance, the livelihood, the finances, and we come out with the overall theme of that event, of that conference of that year. And it's always also accompanied by the sub-themes. They can either be 3 or 4. At least we've had 3 in the first incident, that was in 2018, but from then we'll be having 4 sub-themes. Next. If I continue on the background, can share the link in the next. So why are we holding this Uganda Water and Environment Week? As I said, we are looking at the space of water and environment and climate change and other related natural resources. With this, we're looking at what is happening on the country or national, international. So this Uganda Water and Environment Week, it seeks to contribute to sustainable social economic development and transformation of the country, Uganda, and the region as you look at it. Also achieving the national development plan. We have got every development plan. So far, we are going to be entering the NDP4, and also looking at the vision 2040 of the Uganda as a nation. Not only do we look at the national interests or the national agendas, but we also look at the international agendas, being a country that all international agendas also we are impacting on the Uganda, and also we are signatory to those of international agendas. For instance, Agenda 21, we look at Agenda 2030, which is mainly on the SDGs, even the African agenda, and many other agendas that are looking at the environment conservation, that are looking at climate change. So this Uganda Water and Environment Week conference looks at this one and see how are we contributing as Uganda, as water and environment sector, as also as we, as people who are in the Water and Environment Week. Next. Briefly, I will just take you through what we are planning for this year, the Uganda Water and Environment Week 2026, which is the 9th Uganda Water and Environment Week that will be starting this year, that will be held in March, and we'll be holding it from March 23rd. That's the national event, the week itself, the national event is going to be held from 23rd March, 27th March 2026. Those of us who are joining us for the very first time will say, why do you hold it in March? In March, as a sector, as the Minister of Water and Environment, always align our conference with the sector international days. That's why we considered March as a very important March for the sector. Around that one, we have got a World Water Day, we've got World Meteorological Day, and we've got International Day of Forest. So we do have those, our Water and Environment Week aligned the March day. So this year, as I said earlier, all the Water and Environment Weeks, we first look for what is happening around us, what's happening both national and international, and then we design a theme that we can address what are the challenges, what are the profits, what are the plans for the national and international plans that affect the water and environment. So this year our theme, as has earlier been mentioned with the moderator, it is water and environment for an inclusive and prosperous Uganda. And this theme was aligned to, as I told you earlier, we have got Africa Agenda 2063. We've got Ugandan, which was actually the strategy which was launched last year in July, the Ugandan tenfold growth strategy. And then also we are looking at also other themes. For instance, I'll give an example. Of course, other themes we also look at them. We have World Water Week, I've got World Water Forums, but just to mention a few. So we also looked at this theme for Africa, being an African state, someone that looking at assuring sustainable water availability and safety and safe sanitation system to achieve the goals of African Agenda 2063. And also this one also looking at SDG 6, which is mainly undertaken. And although we have got so many SDGs in the ministry, but that theme for Africa, it looks at the SDG 6. As I earlier said, we have got 40 sub-themes to be under the overall theme. And the 4 sub-themes are looking at also targeting the national and international activities or international challenges or international ways of managing water and environment resources. So our 4th sub-theme, the first sub-theme looks at the role of water and environment in achieving Uganda's tenfold strategic growth. Then we are looking at also, we look at number sub-theme 2, investing in science, technology, innovation, and capacity building to enhance progress in water and environment management and development. Theme number 3, we're looking at also one of the part of the climate change. We are to ensure environmentally sustainable and climate resilient economies and communities that was aligned to the climate change, the challenges that are happening in the space of climate change, the floods, the droughts, and all these ones, landslides. So we have to look at also how do we manage our environment with regard to secure and resilient economies and communities. At the same time, when theme number 4, it looks at inclusivity in the management of water and environment, and it is leveraging the power and capacity of women, youth, and children in delivering of water and environment services. So those are the sub-themes for this year, the 2026 Uganda Water and Environment Week, that are going to be aligned to all the activities that are going to flow. Next, the activities. Next. The Uganda Water and Environment Week approach, all activities are grouped as pre-event, main event, and post-event. And these pre-events are always run starting, this time they're going to be starting from 1st March to 21st March, so that it gives a leeway for us to start the national event that is going to take place on 23rd to 27 March. And these ones, as you know very well, if you are not, we have got 6 concentrated structures of movements of water and environment that are Fort Portal, Mbale, Moloto, Wakiso, Balala, and Gulu, and rather Lila. And these ones always are considered to be the main Uganda and Environment Week. The 6 regions hold the Uganda Water and Environment Week, and the preparation is already ongoing. And so many activities do happen at the regional level. We have awareness campaign, we have youth debate, cleanup exercises, marathon symposiums, medical camps, environmental installations, and so many activities that bring together stakeholders and communities at the regional level to participate in the Uganda Water and Environment Week, and also to understand the water and environment sector and how it is important for us to conserve the environment, how it's important for us to make sure we protect the water sources that provide with us with safe and clean water. So this awareness campaign goes beyond. And from that place, you can have so many involvement of stakeholders at regional level. This year we have got, as usual, we have got a walk for water, environment, and climate change. And this time it's going to be starting from Moroto to Kampala, and about 560 kilometers of the walk. And this is almost the 8th walk that's going to be taking place this year. We're also planning to have a side event called the Swimming Gala. This is also a part of raising awareness on the drowning. Most of we always see accidents happening on the Ugandan waters. Fishermen have drowned, the passengers have drowned. So we thought it was very important to raise awareness on understanding how does it happen. How do we protect ourselves when we are on the waters of Uganda or maybe even international waters, since we are transboundary oriented. We have got a national cleanup exercise that is scheduled to be taking place on 20th March. Next. I said these activities are approaching. We have pre-event, main event activities that mainly runs over that 5 days of the week. That is 23rd to 27th this year. And these ones will be opening. We shall open the ceremony, which is always opened on Monday morning from 9 o'clock to midday. And it is always televised live on 2 televisions. So you can even attend online. You can attend on watching the television. You can attend physically. Our Uganda Water and Environment Week is a hybrid conference. That meaning you can attend online or can attend physically at the Ministry of Water and Environment. Even this time, the venue is Ministry of Water and Environment, Luzira. And this one's also opening ceremony and closing ceremonies, both closing and opening ceremony are televised live on selected TVs. In this event, we have got keynote speakers. These keynote speaking and presentations are aligned to the theme that is the main. On the opening day, we look at the keynote speakers that are aligned to the overall theme of the event. And then later on, the keynote speakers and the panelists and dialogues are aligned to the 4 sub-themes of the event. But even as we are going through this keynote speaking and dialoguing, we also have what they call parallel sessions. These parallel sessions are composed of side events, applied trainings, paper presentation. As currently, been always asking you to submit your abstracts. So these abstracts, after being reviewed and also pushed to meet the standards, can be presented during the Uganda Water and Environment Week for the 5 days. But also at regional level, people can present abstracts, can present paper presentations. They can do side events. They can do career talks. They can do youth debates. As much as these events are almost condensed at the main event, these events can also happen at the regional level. We have exhibition also happens at the regional level here at the center, and we have also field visits that are mainly done within a 50 kilometers radius from the Ministry of Water and Environment. And these field visits are a showcase of what you are doing that impact onto the water and environment. I've said that we've had 8 Uganda Water and Environment Week, that is since 2028. So far, some of the impacts and achievement that we realized from this event, we have so far had 8, as I've said it. We've managed to do about over 12,000 participants. This is on the national level. That is for the 5 days that we do here. And since 2020, we've been having a hybrid. 2018 and 2019 was completely physical, but after COVID, we adopted the hybrid aspect, and we've seen this hybrid aspect is a very good way of sharing knowledge, of discussions, because it gives you a bigger range of participation. People can participate at wherever they are, maybe here in the country, in the region, or international level. And this has increased the number of the participants to attend the Uganda Water and Environment Week. We said at regional level, there's high chances of interacting with schools, interacting with local communities, interacting with our other sectors and other disciplines at the regional level, although they come at national, but the regional level, its participation is at a higher level. Almost more than 10 million people have been participating in the Uganda Water and Environment Week. We talked of the walk. So far, we've done 7 walks, and we've covered about 2,800 kilometers. And when we are walking, we traverse different districts. You might have traversed so many districts but some districts are commonly the same, Wakiso, Kampala. So when I'm counting the districts, I don't count Wakiso and Kampala, but every year, at least we traversed Wakiso and traversed Kampala. That one every year gotten a chance of creating awareness. And these walks, we do it in partnership with several companies We do in partnership with several local governments. We do in partnership with several communities and schools. And that's why you find these partners, these communities, these stakeholders, since the last 8 years, they've learned to appreciate. They've learned to know what does the sector do. Maybe people were green about what does the water and environment sector do. What does WASH mean? What does sanitation mean to the community's health, to the health of the environment? So through these walks, through these regional activities, we have seen people understanding us, knowing us, and also appreciating, and also looking forward to protecting their own environment, knowing that actually the Ministry of Water and Environment has got a catchment-based integrated water resources management, and through that, bring them close, the stakeholders have learned to do interventions that can protect the environment, can protect the water resources for sustainable communities and sustainable economy. Next. Can we go to the next? Okay. Francis can get me the next slide. I can read it, but I want people to see the slide. More achievements. Yeah, we've had youth participation. In the fourth sub-theme, we said inclusivity. We make sure that when we are managing the resources, when we're managing the water and the environment, you need to include all the players, the youth, the women, the children. And through this, we've managed to reach ahead and include about 10,000 youth. This one engaged in debates. I said youth debate. We have got hackathon where we need people to innovate in the space of water and environment, career talks. We have got poem speeches, and all these things that engaging the youth and involving the youth are always aligned to the water, environment, and climate change issues. Through these ones, also through the region and also here at the center, we've managed to attract engaging about 100 schools. These are mainly primary and secondary schools. And these ones have eventually transformed or are transferred the knowledge gained through the Water and Environment Week, the appreciation from the Water and Environment Week back to the school. If you want to develop the country, train as a child, and the child are the future generation for managing the water and environment. So by having them around, going through these debates, going through hackathon, we are developing a new generation that will manage the water and environment for sustainable development. Next. We talked about research. We talked about dialogues. And all these dialogues that are aligned to the theme and the sub-themes. So far, since its inception, we've had 41 dialogues. And this one has attracted about 280 panelists and the keynote speakers, about 40. And these keynote speakers, the panelists are not only from our country, Uganda, but are picked from all over the world to share their knowledge, to share their experience, to share their guidance, to share their proposals and recommendations on how to manage the Uganda water and environment. So these, we pick them across. They're very seasoned guys, they're very disciplined guys, they're very knowledgeable on issues of water, both national and international level. Next. Next, as first is coming in, we talked of paper presentation, and we always call people to submit abstracts. And these abstracts are either practical, they're either scientific, or policy abstracts. So even when you are practicing, when you are implementing activities of WASH, implementing activities of climate change, implementing activities of environment, you are eligible to submit an abstract. These abstracts are reviewed, and where you find that these abstracts do not meet the standards, we train researchers and professionals in abstract writing, in paper presentations, in paper writing. So we always help them. Even here, this Water and Environment Week, we are going to have people trained on how to write an abstract, on how to write paper presentations, and even how to write full papers that can encourage other. And through this Water and Environment Week abstract writing training, we do it under what they call a write shop. We've had some researchers going beyond the write-shop that is done here at the Ministry of Water and Environment, Water Resources Institute, to write proposals. And so far, we had 3 people who have been trained in the abstract writing and paper presentation, have graduated with PhDs. And this we do with engagement, with partnership with academic institutions, e.g. Makerere University, UCC, that have been able to help us in training people to know how to write papers, how to write abstracts, and also to review these papers when they come in, to make sure that the papers meet the standard at national and international level. About 600 papers have been presented. Next. Also, one of the impact or one of the achievements in the Uganda Water and Environment Week is growth of partnership, growth in collaboration of different companies that involve private sector, involve CSOs, involve culture and religious institutions that have come in to join the water and environment sector in implementation of the activities, the functions and objectives of the water and environment sector. So far, we've raised about 60 organizations that not only that help us, or they support the Ministry of Water and Environment, either at technical level or funding partners, or both. So this number, and this one's actually, as water, we are very unique. Actually, when you look at the water and environment sector, we are very unique. Our Ministry of Water and Environment is very unique. It taps into people where people do not go. Other things I would say about retired professionals, but it's not part of it. And this have supported the Ministry of Water and Environment through the Water and Environment Week, and they've gone beyond the Water and Environment Week to support the ministry, to support the Water Resources Institute in capacity building, mentorship, and even other activities that do support the management and development of the water resources in a sustainable manner. Next. I think next would be just a snapshot of the logos of these partners. A snapshot of these partners, and we are still having these partners, and we are still developing more partners to make sure they support this cause. That is water, managing the water, the environment resources, and climate change. And that's the snapshot. Next, snapshot of what is happening in the Uganda Water and Environment Week. I would say thank you. Back to you, the moderator chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Gwendolyn, for this overview, background information. I do hope that Francis, as you wrote the presentation, please wrote the next presentation. As you can see, quite a lot has been done, but there are many opportunities for collaboration and partnership. I think, as Gwendolyn has highlighted, there is so much that can be done through partnerships. There is so much we can achieve as a country. There is so much we can achieve as people. And the Uganda Water and Environment Week is providing us opportunity to achieve that. And the reason why we're having these webinars is mainly to get those of you who have not been participating in the Uganda Water and Environment Week to actually participate very actively, so that you can benefit the way others have benefited. Francis, please wrote the presentation. So that you can benefit the way others have benefited, but also you contribute to the development of this country. Again, what Gwendolyn has given is just a snapshot of what we have achieved through the Uganda Water and Environment Week. But we still feel that there is a lot of potential, and this potential needs to be tapped into by all of us as a country, by all of us as institutions, by all of us as individuals. So we are now going to take you through the overall theme. Normally, when you have a theme and sub-themes, many people don't understand what do they mean. Gwendolyn told you how we get the themes and the sub-themes, but I would want now to get you to appreciate why the overall theme of water and environment for an inclusive and prosperous Uganda was actually decided on. Next slide, Francis. So again, we don't just get a theme just because it is good to get it. We always reflect on what is happening in the country, what is happening globally. As Gwendolyn has mentioned, this year is a year for water and sanitation at the African Union. And at the end of this week, the African heads of states are going to launch that theme. Now, water doesn't occur in a vacuum. Water is part of the environment. Water is impacted by climate change. Water can be used as an adaptation measure for climate change. So we want to focus on that theme. But the African Union has also developed Africa Vision and Policy 2063. Again, during this Water and Environment Week, we want to reflect on it. What does it mean for Uganda? Again, at the country level, we are having NDP4. We are having a tenfold growth strategy. Again, we want to see how does water, environment, and climate change in the broad sense contribute. But I just wanted us to reflect on when we talk about water and environment for a prosperous Uganda, one would want to know what does it mean? How does a prosperous Uganda look like? Here, the prosperous Uganda is envisioned as a modern, industrialized, and upper middle income nation by 2040. So if we are going to contribute to Uganda becoming a prosperous country, we have to be able to contribute to the modernization, industrialization, and getting people out of poverty and move them to the middle income status. And this is driven by agro-industrialization. Again, that's what we're talking about agriculture, processing, agro-processing. Now, you cannot talk about agriculture without water. You cannot talk about processing. We are not talk about livestock. You cannot talk about fisheries. So, again, we want to see how do we contribute to agro-industrialization. Again, this is driven by sustainable natural resources exploitation. Again, we are talking about water, environment resources, natural resources broadly. They need to be exploited for the present and future generation. But at the heart of that, we want to make sure the private sector is playing an important role. So, if we are going to be prosperous as a country, we have to modernize, we have to industrialize, but we have to move people to upper middle income status. And that's why we have to work around the clock to make sure that we do this. And of course, this is characterized by high value, tech-driven agriculture. We are not going to do rudimentary agriculture. We are not just going to get hoes and think we are going to get out of poverty. Increase manufacturing, as I think the president has been stressing, we don't just want to export raw products, we want to export processed products. That's where manufacturing comes in, but also, of course, the infrastructure. We need infrastructure for energy. That's where when we talk about hydropower, we are talking about water turning the turbines. Is water going to be available to turn the turbines? Transport, we are talking about transport on the roads. Roads are washed away by water. Now we talk about roads for water and water for roads. Roads can be used as a water harvesting structure, but also we need to protect roads from being washed away by water. And of course, we are talking about ICT, that whatever we do should be driven by information and communication technology. And of course, we need a healthy skilled workforce. And that's why we have to develop the capacity of everybody. Next, Francis. As we develop the capacity of everybody, then we are getting the young people into employment. We are getting everybody to contribute to the development of this country. So what are the key elements of a prosperous Uganda? And I run very fast. One of them is economic transformation. Shift from subsistence farming to commercial agriculture and manufacturing, aiming at increasing manufacturing's share of GDP and expand export value. Again, we need to see how does water, environment, and climate change space actually contribute to this. Infrastructure and development, a fully developed, integrated, and sustainable network of roads. Again, as I said, roads can have a network of roads and they are washed away by just one rain event. Railways, industrial parks. Industrial parks need a lot of water, but they also destroy the environment. They discharge wastewater. So we need to see how do we support industrial parks through provision of adequate water, but we make sure that the wastewater is managed, but also the wastewater is actually turned into products. That's where we also talk about recycling and talk about water use efficiency, but of course also talk about nature-based solutions. And of course, increasing in energy generation. In Uganda, we are focusing on hydro. We are now going into nuclear. How do we support this energy generation as people working on water, environment, and climate change? The other is value addition and industrialization, increasing investment in manufacturing with focus on value addition in agriculture, mining, oil and gas. Again, agriculture needs water, mining actually in many areas, water is a problem, so they are sending away water somewhere, and some of these areas you find that the water is actually polluted. Oil and gas, as we say, the amount of oil underground, we need the same amount of water to be injected in the ground to push oil out. So how do we make sure that we contribute to oil and gas resources development? Now we're talking about the pipeline. The oil pipeline will have to be flushed from here in Uganda to Tanzania. And you need this water. Now the issue is, where will you get that water? The pipeline is huge, but where will you discharge that water? Again, that's where we work with the team working on energy to make sure that we manage those issues. Of course, growing skilled population. Uganda is largely composed of young people, so we need a young, educated, and healthy workforce. We are young, but the young people have to be educated, they have to be healthy, and of course that's why we support them through improved health care and education. And again, you know the importance of water supply and sanitation in improving health care and education. Financial stability, robust economy, supported by high domestic savings. Again, we do note that climate change is actually causing challenges, and we are losing a lot of money through the damages caused by too much water floods, too little water droughts, and of course landslides. So how do we contribute to ensuring that we have financial stability? That the money is not being given to people because they have been displaced, or the people have suffered from drought, but the money is actually helping the country to grow. And of course, the next element is sustainable growth, where we talk about development that balances economic growth with environmental protection. Next. So again, we don't want development or growth to just to take place at the expense of environmental protection. We are depending on environment and natural resources, and these resources have to be available now for the present and future generation. Otherwise, Francis, next slide, please. We can just develop today, and tomorrow Uganda will be no more because the resource base will not be there. So as you can see, when we talk about water and environment and how we contribute to prosperous Uganda, we are trying to look at it from this. Francis, please, I'm waiting for the next slide. We need to contribute to the different elements. So here we are talking about the growth sectors. Again, as you may have noted in NDP4, we are talking about key growth sectors. One of them is agriculture, moving towards commercialization and value addition. Again, within Uganda Water and Environment Week, we want to actually spend time and discuss how are we going to contribute to moving towards commercialization and value addition. Just last week, we were discussing irrigation strategy. We want to make sure that water environment resources contribute effectively to actually strengthening and commercializing agriculture and value addition, but also want to make sure that as we do it, address the impacts of climate change. Tourism, again, developing tourism as a key economic driver. We can have tourism around water bodies, still not yet fully exploited. Tourism within the forest reserve, tourism along river banks, tourism along wetlands. So again, we want to reflect how can we ensure that we contribute to strengthening and enhancing tourism. Oil and gas, as I've talked about, we are focusing on utilizing oil and gas, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure that whatever we do is environmentally friendly, but is also supported. But also to note that oil and gas resources are being exploited in a fragile region, Albert and Graben, where we have Lake Albert that is shared between Uganda and DRC and is part of the Nile system. How do we ensure that oil and gas development actually don't pollute the same water that we all depend on, that ends up causing challenges with other countries? ICT and services, again, leveraging technology for business and growth. How do we contribute to this? What kind of technologies can we actually adopt to support businesses? I'm talking about water-saving technologies, water purification technologies, recycling technologies. Again, when we talk about technologies, we're not talking about just the computer technology or what, we are talking also about water and environment technologies. And of course, manufacturing, expanding manufacturing sector, because there's no manufacturing facility that doesn't need water. But they will also discharge wastewater. But some of them destroy the environment. That's why, for example, we talk about artificial wetland for treating wastewater. So again, we want to see how do we contribute to this whole agenda. So government, as outlined in Vision 2040, aims to achieve these goals through strategic investments and by addressing constraints to development. Next slide. And as government looks at these strategic investments, some of these investments will be investments on water harvesting, for example, dams, valley tanks, will be investments on irrigation, will be investment on land water harvesting, flood control structures, domestic water supply, wetland restoration, tree planting. So what does this overall theme actually mean to us as people working in the water space? So water and environment for an inclusive and prosperous Uganda refers the sustainable, equitable management of water and water resources and ecosystem to drive economic growth. We are talking about sustainability. We want it now and in the future. We want it to be equitable. We want all those who are supposed to benefit from these resources get a fair share. We don't want to have some get it and others don't get it. We want to make sure that all get a fair share of the resource, but also we want to make sure that we drive economic growth. But also it means ensuring safe, accessible water and sanitation for all citizens, particularly the vulnerable. It will also involve storing the water when it is in plenty and having it available when it is in limited quantities. It integrates climate resilience, environmental protection, and fair resource access to foster a productive health and a stable society. Next, Francis. So as you can see, we are trying to make sure that as we look at the overall theme, we see what exactly are we doing now? And what more do we need to do? Are we providing enough water to the people? Is every Ugandan accessing safe water? How are we restoring the wetlands, for example? How are we utilizing the wetlands and the riverbanks and the forests for economic development? So examples, of course, of focusing on low-income communities and fragile environments like refugee settlements. This is something when we are talking about prosperous Uganda, we need to make sure that every Ugandan has access to safe water of adequate quantity. Francis, go back, please. You are running very fast. So we want to make sure that every Ugandan has access to safe water of adequate quantity to meet the various needs. And we are talking about ensuring that we are focusing on those who are vulnerable. Francis, go back one slide. We are focusing on those vulnerable, the refugee settlements, for example, the people that are living in the slums so that they are able to access these resources. We are also talking about water storage. Again, storing water for productive purposes. Francis, as the slide failed to come on, go one slide back. So we are talking about water storage, where we're storing water in dams and valley tanks. Please go back one slide. You are moving forward. So we are talking about water storage. Francis, is it running by itself or what? I want you to go back. Go back, please. So we are talking about water storage for irrigation, for livestock, for other uses, but also for flood control. We are talking about sustainable water resources managing and utilizing water resources. We are talking of Lake Victoria, for example. All of you have been seeing in the media that the lake is actually covered by green cover algae. How are we managing this lake? River Nile, for example, how are we utilizing this water? But also the other water bodies, utilizing them for drinking, for hydropower, industrialization, and agriculture. Again, environmental protection, restoring catchments and critical ecosystems such as wetlands and forests to enhance biodiversity and support production. Climate change adaptation, again, climate change is real. We are already seeing it. We need to implement measures to combat drought, flooding, landslides, and land degradation to protect livelihoods, the society's infrastructure and economies. Inclusive governance, ensuring women and disadvantaged groups participate in decision-making and benefit from water and environment-related investments. Again, that's why we're having a sub-theme focusing on women, the youth, and the young people, the disabled, so that we can see how we are involving them and how we are targeting them. And of course, the regional cooperation, managing transboundary water resources to promote stability and economic opportunities. Next. So again, these are things we'll be looking at. So we are bringing the theme home. And those of you who will be preparing abstracts, I think the deadline is coming to an end today. Those of you who are proposing side events, those who are proposing trainings, we would want you to focus on these issues. How are we contributing to an inclusive and prosperous Uganda through our work? Next slide, Francis. How are we contributing to inclusive and prosperous Uganda? Again, key focus areas very fast. Equitable and climate resilient WASH. Again, we are talking about climate resilient water, sanitation and hygiene services, integrated water resources management, water security and access. We want to make sure that we are water secure so that the water doesn't become a problem and at one time it becomes a limitation. Sustainable natural resources management, green growth development, climate resilient ecosystems, poor water and environment investment. So again, a number of focus areas, and this is just an indication. Next slide, please. This is just an indication that what you see Sorry about this. So opportunities that we have for contributing to overall theme. Again, as Gwendolyn mentioned, we can contribute as individuals through a number of ways. We can be part of the dialogues. We can be part of through keynote presentations. Again, we have been calling upon all of you to come and contribute to being part of the panel. Again, abstracts, the deadline I think is today. It was extended by 1 week. So you can prepare an abstract on any of these areas and make a paper presentation, but you can also organize side events so that you can share your experiences on what is happening. Again, trainings on these various areas so that many people can learn, feed these exhibitions and general participation. And participation can be both at the national and regional levels. Next. So again, the sub-themes have been highlighted. So the overall theme is going to be unpacked through the 4 sub-themes. Sub-theme 1, looking at the role of water and environment in achieving Uganda's tenfold growth strategy. Again, launched last year. We want to come out very fast and see how we're going to contribute. If Uganda's development is natural resources based, as custodians of natural resources, water and environment resources, how are we contributing now and how are we going to contribute more to achieve tenfold growth strategy? Again, here we'll be having a keynote presenter and also panelists, about 5 panelists. Then we look also at investment in science, technology, innovation, and capacity building. Again, we cannot continue doing things in the same way. We have to innovate. We have to invest in science. We have to have technology that works. We have to develop capacity of institutions, individuals, so that we can enhance progress in water and environment management and development. Then the third one is ensuring environmental, sustainable, and climate resilient economies and communities. Whatever we are doing it for the people. Whatever we are doing for socio-economic development. How are we ensuring that whatever we are doing is environmentally sustainable and climate resilient? Might we be putting in place a water supply system and then it is washed away very fast by water? Might we be setting up a road, as I said earlier, that is washed away? Might we be setting up a dam that, if not properly designed, but also the water resources are not properly managed, it can be washed away and cause challenges? So again, under this theme, we'll have a keynote and a discussion on how we can take it up. The first one is leveraging the power and capacity of women. Again, we feel that we have not taken advantage of the capacity of women the youth and children, the delivery of water and environment services. So we'll also be having a keynote and a panel discussion, and the panel discussion are composed of people coming in with different expertises and background. Next. So through these 4 themes, sub-themes, we'll be able to get the overall theme unpacked, and we are looking forward to your active participation in the 5 UWEWK webinars. We have 5 UWEWK webinars. This is the first one. We are having another one on Friday. We're having 2 next week, and information has been shared. But we also hope that you will participate in the overall Water and Environment Week 2026. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best. We are now going to have just a few minutes for any comments, any reflections. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have maybe another 5-10 minutes. You can put up your hand or you can speak out loudly. Is there any comment? Again, not necessarily on this, but what kind of advice would you want to give? What kind of input would you want to give? Any question regarding the Uganda Water and Environment Week? Yes, I see Kalisa. Geoffrey, take the floor.
Yes, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I don't know, can I be heard? Yes?
Yes, Kalisa, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Kalisa Geoffrey, and I'm a forestry student at Makerere University. Thank you so much, Ministry of Water and Environment, for this good theme anchored on having the inclusive and prosperous Uganda as Uganda achieves its development goals. Now, my question is, usually water crisis is becoming a very big issue, especially when it comes to rural areas. And you realize that some of these catchment areas that we have, in our communities, take for instance wetlands and forests. I'm not an engineer, but a few things that I know. I think water can literally come from the wetland as well as the forest. But you find that people continue encroaching these catchment areas. So as Minister of Water and Environment, particularly the National Water and Sewage Corporation, how best prepared are you to make sure that these communities, especially to the water catchment adjacent communities, are taught how best they can have these catchment areas protected, the water catchment areas protected? Otherwise, thank you so much. I beg to submit.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Kalisa. I had seen Robert. Robert, are you still there? Robert Asimu, you had come in first.
Thank you. I wanted Gwendolyn to clarify on the dates. I think in the previous meeting, the dates were communicated as 28th Feb for the abstracts and articles. Thank you.
Okay, Gwendolyn will clarify on that. Court leader.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kalist and everyone. First and foremost, allow me to appreciate Ministry of Water and Environment. The webinars are a very good addition to the Uganda Water and Environment Week. I can't wait to attend a number of them as much as I can. But secondly, also to recognize that this year, there is a whole sub-theme that is focusing on women, youth, and children. For the last 2 Uganda Water and Environment Weeks, last 2 years, CARE and together with some other civil society organizations, we've been doing a side event looking at matters of gender, but it really felt like it was a subject on the sidelines. I'm so happy to see that it is now one of the sub-themes, and as we have quite an experience in integrating matters of gender, youth, into natural resources governance. And we have also nominated a panelist for that sub-theme. I'm hoping that they will be considered, but I'm so happy that that is now a sub-theme. I'm hoping that it will continue in the subsequent Uganda Water and Environment Weeks, because even as we do all the restoration that we are doing, if we ignore some of these social issues, we find that sustainability is actually undermined. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Kotilda, for those remarks and also for proposing a panelist. I think as we have been saying, we really want to get people who can bring in those experiences across board, and we are happy that you have already taken action. Any other comment, colleagues, before we bring this meeting to an end? Again, it was for information. It was to get people to know. I do hope that Gwendolyn will be ready to respond to the issue raised by Robert. Then I will comment on the issue of how prepared we are as we move forward. But also, we want to make sure that everybody is part. Gwendolyn, if you can respond to the issue raised by Robert.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, moderator. Yeah, the deadline for abstract was mentioned as 11th, which is today, but the deadline for submitting a side event, for submitting interest to hold applied training, for submitting an interest to convene a side event, for field visit and for exhibition, it is one which was postponed to 28th and end of this month. But for the abstracts, it was mentioned that is supposed to remain as 11th, because there is a lot of work to do when it comes to abstract reviewing, communicating to the submitters, to back and get to flow and to flow. So that's why, because we are planning also to have a write shop by the end of this month. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so Robert, I hope you have got it. So abstracts is today, by end of today, then the side events 28th. But again, in the event that somebody absolutely is burning to get something there, where we can talk offline and see. Let me invite Caroline Andama. Take the floor. Caroline, I seem not hear you. I don't know they are still there.
Oh, sorry, Doctor. I'm traveling network, but first of all, I want to thank you for embedding in the NDP4 in this water week. That makes a lot of sense. And we can clearly see where everybody is coming to play towards the tenfold growth strategy. Speaking about water, I know Ministry of Water has done quite a lot of work, especially setting up water for production and also irrigation in previous projects. We'll be happy if you can demonstrate to us or show to us where these sites are and how our farmers can benefit, considering the recent report that came out about drought. And also us as a bank, we are suffering. We want to finance these farmers and give them irrigation systems, but they always give us a challenge of we don't know how to go about with the water. How do we dig it? Where are the water sources? So we'll be happy to see that come through during this water week. Thank you so much, Chair. I submit.
Thank you very much, Carol. Yes, what you have raised is very important. Just to mention to you that during the Uganda Water and Environment Week, we'll be making a presentation on the new irrigation strategy. We have Ministry of Water and Environment has worked with the Ministry of Agriculture to relook the issue you have raised. At the end of the day, you can't tell people to go and irrigate. First of all, they have to irrigate high-value crops. They have also to irrigate crops which have a market. And you can support them, first of all, to get the market, but you can also support them to identify enterprises that are economically feasible and also ensuring that the water is available. So, yes, during the Uganda Water and Environment Week, one of the presentations we are going to make is to indicate to the country how we are moving forward with irrigation. And we'll also be showcasing where some of these irrigation schemes they are proposed to be. But now we are moving with irrigation through a value chain approach. Don't just tell somebody I want to support you with irrigation, even when somebody doesn't know what is going to irrigate, but also not knowing the market. So we are rethinking the approach, and we'll certainly be addressing the issue I've raised. Thank you very much. There was another hand. As the hand comes in, I think as Geoffrey was raising the issue, catchments are degraded. I must tell you that the top leadership of this country is concerned about this, and we have been given a directive to work on this and ensure that people are supported to get incomes, but we're also being told to move water, especially in upland areas, so that people can get the water, but also we get them to create those business opportunities. We are prepared, we are moving forward, and during the Uganda Water and Environment Week, those are some of the things that will be showcased and shared. So well done, and thank you for raising that. So, Meron, can you take the floor?
Thank you so much, Doctor, for the moderating. So my name is Ankunda Melon. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I hear you. I hope others here are hearing you. So proceed.
Okay, thank you. So I have to raise an issue that some of us, I don't know, I don't know most of the people here. I've not talked to any of them, but I want to say that some of us do not have recognized institutions that we are working for. We've just left university, but we are so much interested and love to be climate activists. So you said that the people that are supposed to participate in the appear on the panels and maybe take up a number of activities are people with expertise. And then some of us who have not gotten any expertise but are still willing to be climate activists. So I don't know how you people are going to consider us so that we actively also participate in this event. Yeah.
Thank you, Meron, for that. Before Moses comes in, let me respond to Meron. Meron, we have the Uganda Water and Environment is open to everybody. And for you who are making a start in your career, probably it is important that you participate. Now, for a number of reasons. You'll be rubbing shoulders probably with potential employers. You'll be rubbing shoulders with people who have had experience. You'll be interfacing with people who probably can guide you and mentor you. During the Uganda Water and Environment Week, one of the things we shall be having is a career talk. Again, the team that are coordinating it online here, we will also be having youth debates. We will also be having a number of side events. But we have a special a team that is organizing a program for the young people. So I want to suggest, Meron, just send an email to the secretariat. You received an email when you registered, and express your interest. Meron or any other person. Any person who is not part of preparatory activities and would want to participate more actively, just send an email to Gwendolyn and Francis. I think the contacts are there, the Water Resources Institute, and they will link you to the relevant committee, subcommittee, so that you contribute. We want to hear from you. That's why, although we say expertise, but of course, when you are young, then you may not have the expertise, but you bringing the young person is used. So that's the kind of thing we are talking about. So don't worry, Meron. You will join in and we welcome you. Just express your interest to join the team, and they will inform you. And we have these events taking place online and physical. So I hope it is clear. So there are probably many Merons out there. I hope the message is loud and clear. Yes, Moses, and then we close this webinar. Moses Enangu, you can take the floor. Moses, you are muted, so put on your mic so that we hear you, and mute.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yes, go ahead, Moses.
Yes, my major concern is the water issue in Karamoja. Recently, I had a trip in Karamoja and I had time to interact with the water operators in Karamoja. And one thing which I noted is there's a link between variation of water levels in boreholes as related also to the main catchment river in Karamoja. And now there's very big development taking place in Karamoja. A lot of industries are being built. What is the plan for the ministry to make Karamoja have a sustainable water source than groundwater?
Thank you very much for that, for that, Moses. And of course, to note that the Uganda Water and Environment Week walk is actually starting in Karamoja. So we're having an opportunity to actually make sure that the walk starts there. So we'll be looking at those issues, the Karamoja specifically, but we already are having programs which are being planned for Karamoja. We are talking about bulk water transfer. In some areas, you don't have enough water. So we'll be taking water. Actually, we are talking about getting water even from as far as Lake Bisina, but some of the ideas have been also getting water from Oregon. So we are looking at bulk water transfer so that you can bring water to the people. We don't want the people to continue going to look for water. So we will be addressing the issues of Karamoja. That's why we created a regional office in Karamoja so that it can take charge of that. But we are looking at those issues strategically. And during the Uganda Water and Environment Week, these are the issues that we would want to package and make sure that you mobilize stakeholders to join. But also, we have activities that are being planned for Karamoja in particular. We have regional activities, and they are going to start in 2 weeks. So again, through those engagements, the people will be discussing how to address those water issues and how we can ensure that water doesn't become a problem, but becomes an opportunity with many industries going there. And that's why we're talking about partnerships. That's why we're talking about collaboration and coordination. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring this webinar to an end. For those who came in a bit later, when we had already had presentations, we said that this is the first webinar in a series of webinars. We are having 5 webinars. We have a webinar on the overall theme, which we have just had today. On Friday, we are going to have a webinar on the sub-theme 1. Then next week and the other week, we'll have the remaining webinars. Information has been shared, but since you have registered, the team will share. And the whole aim of these webinars is basically to get everybody to understand what are these themes about? How do we select the theme and what does it mean to us? And I do hope that during this webinar, you have appreciated the overall theme of the Uganda Water and Environment Week and how water and environment resources are going to contribute to the prosperous and resilient Uganda. We talked about what it means to be a resilient country. We talked about what it means to be a prosperous country. And we have talked about the role water and environment resources and climate change can play. Otherwise, I want to thank you for attending this webinar. I want to encourage you to attend the next one on Friday at 11 a.m., where we'll be having other speakers that will be helping us to move forward. Thank you very much and wish you a nice day. I also want to thank the Secretariat Water Resources Institute for the good arrangements. Wish you a nice day until we meet on Friday.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.